And now, your hosts, Sean Hastings, an independent filmmaker and screenwriter extraordinaire. Jonathan Solzbar, a writer, graphic designer, and voice actor. Together, these fine fellows form Cinema Filibuster. And welcome to Cinema Filibuster. I am Jonathan Solzbach.
And I am Sean Hastings.
And it's been a while.
It has. A long while. Too long. So long, I'm not even sure what we're doing here right now. Why are we sitting here with mics under our noses talking about...
Because we're podcasters, Sean.
Podcasters.
People need us.
Yes, they do need us.
They love us. They can't live without us.
Absolutely not. Especially after that wonderful introduction that you edited so many years ago.
Oh, shucks.
Oh.
And it's all true, too.
It is.
On today's podcast, we would like to talk about something trending in the news.
International politics and stinky little backwater chicken crap countries like North Korea. There, I said it.
I think you might be offending some of our listeners from Korea.
Hey, South Korea. I've had friends stationed in South Korea. They said it is one of the most beautiful places. They have one of the richest... South Korea is a beautiful, wonderful place that empties into a cesspool, into their northern septic tank called North Korea.
Oh boy! Well, should we give some some context for these?
Yeah, in case you people are wondering what we're talking about.
Baseless allegations.
Baseless allegations. We're talking about the latest bit of oeuvre from James Franco and Seth Rogen. Their film, The Interview, and how it has been called onto the carpet by the tin-plated little despot from that self-same rank cesspool, North Korea, who decided he would try to affect the policies, civilian policies in a larger country than him, and apparently he did. Yeah,
basically The Interview is a film depicting the assassination of Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un, yeah.
So the story is a bunch of Americans go over there ostensibly for an interview, and then they try to kill him.
They try to kill him at the behest of, I guess it's the CIA.
Who thought that was a good idea for a comedy?
Well, I mean... I suppose anything is a good idea for a comedy if the person writing it has a good sense of comedic timing and puts in things of comedic value. Whether or not the movie's funny or not, it's kind of moot, really, at this point. I mean, it's...
I don't know that anybody listening to this wouldn't know, but Sony Pictures, which was distributing the film, decided not to show it theatrically because there were threats.
Oh, there was a cyber attack. Apparently, and of course, North Korea is disavowing any culpability in this, but... They're praising the people who did it, so it's pretty... Everybody, we're going, come on.
We didn't do it, but... I don't know what kind of accent this is. We didn't do it, but we are glad that somebody did.
Well, apparently Glasgow has a problem with it as well, according to John, but there were several cyber attacks on Sony, and their information was stolen and distributed. It was not
That's true, and the script for the latest James Bond film was leaked.
Yeah, it's, and everybody's kind of commenting they don't like the ending of it. So maybe that wasn't such a bad idea. Maybe thanks, Kim Jong. That's not a national security threat. But where does it leave off? If you attack if you attack the citizenry of a country, you attack the country. In a very kind of reasonable way, they've declared war on the United States, and we would have legitimate reason to redeclare it back on them or answer and go to war. I mean, not that I'm suggesting we do that over this or anything, but... Well, let's, I guess, we were, what we were discussing...
We came up with a couple of questions. We were trying to sort through the mire of this whole debacle. But what are the questions behind the questions? A lot of people are saying, Sony was a coward to not air the movie, or, distribute the movie in theaters.
Well, I mean...
Other people say Sony is a company that has a right to do with its films as it pleases.
Sure.
Where does that line between parody and offensive lie?
A lot of it depends on what the person watching. I mean, to some people, killing Kim Jong-il is different than killing somebody you like. Killing somebody you like is bad. Killing him isn't. I'm sad to say I think the majority of people in the United States wouldn't have a problem with dispatching Kim Jong-un at all.
Well, that's why the outrage against the film came from North Korea.
North Korea, yeah.
Most of us here, either we don't care about the movie because it's a silly comedy, or we think, the world would be a better place without him.
Something I was telling you earlier, there's nighttime satellite shots of North and South Korea. South Korea is alive with lights and city and industry, and North Korea has got two little sprinkling bits of light. And there's a lot of people up there suffering because of this hideous, terrible human being. But does that give us the right to kill him, or should we
on film?
Should we revel in the prospect of him getting killed? Honestly, if he got killed, it would be a lot better for a lot of people. But should we revel in it?
I would say no.
I agree. And so for me, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near actually killing off any real person, even if it's, somebody who I'm based this on a real guy dead, or somebody that everybody knows. No, I wouldn't have done it.
But it's been done.
It's been done,
and there are
and
repercussions.
I mean, do we have the right to, or does anyone have the right to censor? Yeah, does anybody have the right to censor you from doing it? There's an old axiom, and I, for the life of me, wish I could remember who it was. So I'm going to make up a Greek philosopher. Galvistocles once said that.
Spell that.
Galvistocles.
Never mind.
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's hard. You can't spell it. It
can only be pronounced.
It can't even be pronounced. That's just the Anglicization of. But
I will ask you later. Who was that guy?
Galvacomistocles, yeah. He once said censorship is either total or not at all. If they can tell you not to say one thing, they can tell you not to say everything. So, would I have made a movie about a guy getting killed? No. Should they be censored? No. That's an individual choice, not only for them to produce it, but it's a freedom for us to decide whether or not we want to watch it.
And I'm willing to bet that that's a freedom that the North Korean people do not have.
Not even close.
We live in a country where we can make a movie like that. I don't know what the uproar would be if they were depicting the assassination of our current president.
That probably wouldn't get past anybody.
I don't think that would fly.
So, yeah. So then should it be able to fly for him then? Because, what's the difference? He's a world leader. Because if it ever happened and there was and the United States government called a big no on it, there would be a freedom of speech shout out so big. Every major commentator in the world would be going, freedom of speech, woo! But there's also this old saying, you have a freedom of speech, but you can't go into a crowded building and yell shark, fire. Sorry, I know.
I say, well, you could, but
and nobody's going to care. Shark. But you can't go into a crowded building and yell fire. But the one thing though, and this is something my friend Kevin said to me the other night. We were talking about the whole thing. This was shortly after the whole thing broke. He really hated all these people who were coming out just knee jerk saying, cowards. They're cowards. Because these are the self-same people that if Sony had released it and there had been gunfire at theaters that had killed people, these are the self-same people who would be going, well, that was reckless. They shouldn't have been doing that.
They were so greedy, they put people's lives at rest.
They were so greedy, yeah, they put people's lives at rest.
Well, a lot of people want to know, was Sony in the wrong? Did Sony exercise its freedom as a corporation to not distribute a movie?
From just a standpoint, they didn't do anything wrong from... It's not a morality issue, but I think they have created a bad situation by capitulating to terrorism. If it hadn't been capitulating to terrorism, you can really... If they themselves decided that they did not like it and didn't want to show it, that's perfectly okay. I would get behind that 100%. But I can't get behind the reason for not showing it, because I think capitulating to this was a bad idea, because it sets a precedent that will, and I say underline with an exclamation point, will be exploited again. In my dear home state, in the grand capital city of Austin, Texas, there is a theater greater than many in the world called the Alamo Drafthouse. Robert Rodriguez debuts a lot of movies there. Quentin Tarantino frequents the place all the time because you eat dinner, you watch movie in a recliner, and it's good food. It's wonderful food. And they show cool movies. They show movies that people want to see. Originally, they said, we'll show it. Send it down to the Alamo Drafthouse. And of course, Sony said, no, nobody's going to get a copy. So then they decided, well, we're just going to show Team America, because that basically, I'm so hungry. That's stuffing one onto Kim Jong-il, who, is no longer with us. And Paramount said, no, can't have it. We don't want to add to the agitation in this, and we don't want to get attacked. So
it's funny, though, that Paramount had no problems putting that movie out in the first place.
Oh, no.
Sony had no problem greenlighting The Interview.
No.
Which leads me to think that... do they really care, except that somebody caused an uproar?
Well, they care because somebody attacked them and if they're smart, they've already patched those holes and upped their security so that that would not happen again. So I think they didn't think it was going to cause a big uproar. It did. They're threatened. They stopped it because of, because they owe their stockholders not to have the company collapse, all their employees not have the company collapse. So I think they did it out of caution, not out of fear, but I think they did the wrong thing. People look at the surface of stuff. People don't dig into why is this happening? Who did this? Why did they make the decision? It's all knee-jerky. Quit jerking your knees, people! Because
do you think they sent a message?
They did. They sent a message that we can and will put monetary concerns over the concerns of our freedom. And like a famous patriot whose name I cannot remember once said, freedom is a dangerous prospect. It is not safe. The Civil War taught us that freedom is dangerous, it's messy, it's bloody, and it should never be comfortable.
Sony's decision to release the film for free online, does that send a different, more confusing message? Like, hey, we screwed up, here's the movie.
No, I think, and again, I tend to be a devil's advocate in situations like this, and maybe I'm reading too much.
You're just a devilish fellow,
I'm
Mr. Hastings.
Fellow. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll bet you eat your eggs, devil, too.
Sunny side up, actually. That's my favorite way of eating eggs, and an omelet. I think they decided, well, what can we do now that would appease people? And I mean, I'm not saying appease in a Neville Chamberlain kind of way, but I'm seeing they see what happened and they see, to get us out of the loop, we will put it for free. You can watch it or not.
We only made the movie. We're not going to... Wait a second.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, they're in the loop no matter what, but I think I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt pat on the back. That was good. Okay, you're at least going to put it out so people can see it. So at least now, Seth and James, their film is out there and their work was not for nothing. It was going to make it out anyway, though. People were going to see this movie no matter what. But Sony, by jumping to it first, can claim, well, we at least did it. I give them the benefit of the doubt, but they're not doing it for look how selfless and goodwill we are. They're a business. Their job is to make money. The end.
Nobody's really arguing, oh, it's such a great movie, or they really want to see the movie. This is more a matter of like a little dog, a little chihuahua yipping at the heels of a very big man. Mm-hmm. And at what point do you ignore the dog? At what time do you just kick it? I mean... So what's the mature, responsible way to behave? Bow to this little mongrel?
But I think this dog is not barking at us. This dog has taken a nip at our Achilles heel. It hasn't hurt us. They have attacked and curtailed freedom. Everything notwithstanding, we are freedom. Everything about this country is freedom. And
Team America!
Team America. And they curtailed it. And that's not just barking. It bit us. You can't let that sit. You can't let that dog bite, because it will bite again once it feels like it has the courage to do it. Now, I'm not saying squash the animal, but how a person, a dog trainer will tell you what you do when a dog gets like that is you pick them up, you force them onto the ground kind of hard with you don't want to break any bones. You put your hand on their stomach, hold them down, and then grab their snout. They'll fight and fight and fight, but you hold their snout shut. You let them breathe, though, through their nose, and you just hold them until they stop, because when they stop, they understand I'm in charge, and then you just let them go, and they will leave you alone. They might get uppity again later on, but after a while, the time between these little lessons gets further and further. And again, I don't want to come off that the United States needs to teach the rest of the world a little bit of a lesson.
Let's talk about the posturing before it goes to war. Usually
right.
It's government officials
sure.
blabbing this and blabbing that and trying to talk things down.
Right. And you would always hope that would happen, because war is not an attractive option no matter what happens. Nobody wants that. But then again, nobody wanted war in 1938 until Hitler annexed the Sudetenland and marched into Poland.
And we talked about Charlie Chaplin's movie, The Great Dictator.
That is one of the most masterful movies of all time.
Where he ridiculed then living and then contemporary Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler,
yeah. In fact, he even, of course, this was way before we knew the extent of his persecution of the Jews, but, even in the film, have you ever seen The Great Dictator? Well, in The Great Dictator, Charlie Chaplin plays two roles. He plays his the little tramp, that he's famous for, and he plays the Fuhrer Adenoid Hinkle.
See, he's got a different name there. It's obvious who he's portraying, but he's not the guy.
But he gives this wonderful speech. He talks about, and he makes these long things, and then a translator will say, "This is what Adenoid Hinkle has just said that he likes this," and he says things like, what is it? Freedom stunk. Freedom is questionable. Democracy stunk. Democracy is odious. And it's just these wonderful, you can tell what he's saying, and then he talks about das Juden, Juden, and that's Jew in German, and he goes on this, and and he just, the Juden, and just gets this whole thing, and then the translator says, and Adenoid Hinkle has just spoken about the Jewish people. It's like, oh my God.
Wait, so this is a talking film?
Yeah, it's a talkie. Mm-hmm. But the one interesting bit of cinema history, this was the last appearance ever of the Little Tramp. And the Little Tramp was a Jew, and he talked. It's for the first time you hear the Little Tramp had dialogue, and he was Jewish, and the persecution, and it was, of course, mild compared to what it probably was, but from the vein of somebody in the United States watching a movie, it was horrifying. These people are going into these businesses and stealing, and they're not doing anything about it. What are they talking about? And of course, as we know now, far, far worse was happening. But you're right, we parodied, but we didn't kill him, and that's true. That's kind of the big deal with the Kim Jong-un thing, is they killed him in that.
But say they didn't kill him, I think he would have still had an issue with it, or maybe I should say it's just in terrible taste.
It's a terrible taste.
No, I'll say it's wrong. To depict the killing of somebody who is still alive.
Yeah.
If it's a historical movie and you take somebody out, it doesn't sting because that person is gone.
It was like you said, history's already made their judgment on that person. They are already who they are forever.
It may still be in bad taste to show that depiction, but that person is no longer with us. It's kind of a fuzzy area.
I mean, you could do Time Cops 8, Kill Hitler.
Seriously.
You could do that movie and, nobody with any sense would go see Time Cops 8, but, it would be, nobody would care if you killed Hitler.
I think a lot of people at Sony probably thought nobody was going to care about this movie because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And
I think they'll think nobody in the United States would care because Un is a schmuck, and he's, a bad guy, and again, like I say, if he were to die of a cerebral embolism accidentally, his country would be fine. I think his country would be better off depending upon who took over. Again, that's, that's taking a lie. That's not my place to say one way or the other.
Okay, so let's change it around and say it wasn't Kim Jong-un, it's the Dalai Lama.
Oh, wow. Well, that's just asking for it. I mean,
or the Pope.
He's one of the most beloved. The Dalai Lama is one of the most beloved people walking the planet. Yeah, you would have a hard time with that.
It's okay to kill somebody on film if the general public doesn't like him.
Right.
But if he is well liked, then you shouldn't.
Which technically is a double standard that shouldn't exist. You either can kill somebody or you can't. Yeah. It's either right to kill or it's not.
And there are sometimes circumstances where
we're
going to war, so people are probably going to die here. We're not going to charge all our soldiers with murder.
I mean, even when Saddam Hussein was killed, he was tried. It was a kangaroo court, but he was at least tried before, it wasn't just an assassination. And technically, assassination is illegal according to the Geneva Convention, so they were breaking international law by doing that. Because the United States of America does not assassinate people.
We don't? He said unconvinced.
You guys cannot see me looking skyward, hoping that hoping I'm not hooked up to a polygraph. I know this sounds bad, but I would be shocked if somebody could prove to me conclusively that the United States did not partake in assassination. I would be shocked.
I've watched too many movies and TV shows.
Okay, what does that mean? That's just a blanket statement. That's like saying, I eat mangoes. Okay, what's that got to do with anything? Okay,
now I have a rash.
I have a rash.
I don't know where I was going with that. Doesn't really matter. I think what we're getting at is that
the ramifications of this are going to be kicking us in the shin and biting at us, to use the dog analogy, for decades to come. Until something happens that is closer to 9/11 on the scale. Because, on the terrorism scale, this is way down near zero, and 9/11 is up here near 911.
Say North Korea made a movie about the World Trade.
Well, yeah, I would hate the idea that they did it, but...
And they turned it into a comedy.
I would think it was horrible, but I do okay.
They have the freedom to make that.
They do, and I wouldn't grouse. I mean, I would grouse about it in that, well, we all know why they did it. They did it just to be, they made a movie to make me mad, and all it did was make me pity them all the more.
Mm-hmm. You don't think our government or any prominent world leaders within our country would rise up and say, "How dare you?
Oh, of course they would.
That movie."
Oh, absolutely, because that's a good way to get reelected, is to, because everybody would feel angry about it, and there would be people, the more reactionary members of our society would be calling for war, even though that's a stupid thing to go to war over. Then all you have to do to get them behind you in an election is go, yeah, let's do something bad to them. What? I don't know.
These are deep, deep things to consider for Cinema Filibuster.
It is. I mean, we've plumbed the depths here. Well, we talked a little bit about Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin's always cool.
I think it's within range of our
absolutely
podcast, though, because it's about a movie.
We wouldn't want another country to be able to censure one of our works. We wouldn't want,
We'd just be happy that they knew it existed.
I would love for Outer Mongolia to go, we do not like his vampire script, get rid of it. Sure. I'd love
Imagine if somebody said, "Your guys' podcast is so bad, it hurts me. Take it off the air."
Well,
I'd say it's not on the air. I'd just say don't listen to it.
Don't listen to it, yeah.
Don't like it, don't listen to it.
Yeah, don't want, if you don't want to watch, if you are offended by watching the despot of North Korea get his head blown off, and I saw the gif of it, by the way, it's disturbing, but I could see why it's funny. But it's still a living human being who is alive right now, dying in a kind of an unpleasant way. But I guess that's we've plumbed the depths of international politics, international diplomacy. We have angered the French, the North Koreans, the Outer Mongolians. I'm quite sure there's probably somebody in Reykjavik, Iceland, who's going, "I don't like those guys,
but I can't stop listening because they're so
funny." And wow, we've really just insulted them there. No offense, Reykjavik, Iceland, one of my bucket list places to visit.
Well, for Cinema Filibuster, we've gone to new places.
We have. So. This is a new place, and
I told you my compound would take you places. I didn't say they'd be places you'd want to go.
No.
What movie's that from?
Compound? I told you my compound would take you places. Blanking.
The Dark Knight. Scarecrow is in the back of the van.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's pretty early on in the movie.
I've only seen the movie once. I need to watch it again. I haven't seen it enough to get quotes from it yet. Swear to me! Anyway, but all right, enough of the Dark Knight. Anyway, well, we hope this has maybe cleared some stuff up for some of you out there. Actually, it's probably polluted the stream and made it muggier, and now people out there who were close to forming an opinion now have no idea what to think because it's just too much, and it is. You're right.
But don't let us tell you what to think. Think for yourself.
Think for yourself. Look at the information, look at what you think, form an opinion,
and share that opinion on our YouTube comment page.
Absolutely.
Or cinemafilibuster.com or iTunes. We'd love to hear from you, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. In fact, if you have a message, break it down into every third word and put every third word on each individual deal so we have to recompile it to read what you said.
So that I have to recompile it.
That's what I said. So he can recompile it until we get an intern and make them do it for us.
This has been fun.
I enjoyed it.
Illuminating and educating and...
Sure.
Something... defecating. No, just kidding.
Defecate, yeah. And if anything, now Kim Jong-un wants to put a hit out on me because he knows what I think of him.
Any closing thoughts, parting remarks? Quotes of great renown?
Well, quotes of great renown. Well, with as in anything, when you read the news, look at the news, get as many facts as you can from as many reputable places as you can. Don't knee-jerk. Dig into it, read into it, and like a wise man once said, use your damn head.
Is that your father?
Yes, it was. Use your damn head. I don't want to use my head. It's the best advice, and it's the best advice I've ever gotten.
All right, I'm just going to start spouting off.
Yeah, we're gonna. So anyway,
I am Jonathan Sulzbach,
and I'm Sean Hastings.
Until next time, adios.
Color us gone.
And now, the credits. Intro music by Henry Kadib. Outro music by Matt Steiner. Show concept and creation by Sean Hastings and Jonathan Sulzbach. Find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and of course, cinemafilibuster.com. Leave a comment at any of those venues and we'll read it in a future episode. Thanks for listening.